Awesome. All right. So, like I said, thank you guys so much for your patience. We're here. Let's talk Africa. Let my internet work, Lord. This is a conversation I've been excited to talk about, and I'm looking forward to speaking with the guest here today. We are doing our digital talkback Juneteenth series. So we talked about what Juneteenth is. If you don't know, definitely look it up. It's a moment in U.S. history in which all people were finally freed. Finally, the final people who were brought here and forced into labor, into servitude, were free, which are my peoples, Black people here. So we're talking about creating a global society for ourselves. When we think about Black liberation and Black power and all of these wonderful things, we cannot have this conversation without going to the heart of, where we come from. And there's controversy. People go, well, are we still African? Are we only American? Is there a connection? So we have some guests here today that are going to get into that conversation with us and talk about visiting the motherland. Can I please have Miss Acheriku and Kweku on right now? They're the founder of Akoma Healing Arts, and they actually provide a wonderful tour and experience to West Africa. And they're going to be talking a little bit about how they got into travel to the continent, why and where. How are you doing today, Acheriku and Kweku?
Hi,
Hi,
greetings.
greetings. Greetings, Ashley.
Alafia,
I'm like,
greetings.
every time, guys, thank you so much for living and loving with me. I appreciate you.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, we're happy to
So
be here.
it's an honor to have you. I'm very excited to have you on the show. I wanted you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about Akoma Healing Arts. Tell us a little bit about yourselves, like background, nationality, where you're from, and how you started a tour, which I'm excited to actually be going on my first tour with you all. I want to talk about a little bit. Tell our audience a little bit about that tour and
He'll
how
be
you
back.
actually got into it.
Yeah, let there be light. Greetings. First of all, thank you, Ashley, for
Yes.
allowing us to be in this space. I was excited when I saw Let's Talk Africa because you see, Brother Quake who has on his T-shirt, and we created Let's Talk Africa in November last year. We wanted to create a way to bridge the gap between Africa and the diasporans, the children of the continent. And we wanted to. We had just come back from our tour, and we sat down and we were thinking no one really sat down and explained to us how to get your visa. Whether they wanted to travel with us or not, I believe everyone deserves to be exposed to information about what it's like to get your visa, what it's like if you wanted to become a resident, what it's like. So we created the Let's Talk Africa event, which then became a series of events. The city of Miramar had us, and and now we're here with you. So I'm so excited. Thank you, thank you. My name in the community, everyone knows me as Sister Keisha. However, when I went over to Ghana last summer with our tour, I was blessed with the name Acheriku. And so I greet you all as Acheriku.
Yes, greetings. And my name is Kweku. And we created this platform for us to bridge the gap between the continent and the diaspora. Just like what Sister Charka was saying, is that there's a lot of misinformation and there's a lot of dialogue that needs to be had about Africa. And we've seen that within our travels. Like she said, there was no one out there that's really telling people and advising people on how to travel to Africa, how what countries you could go to, how the culture, if we are accepted there, what is it like in if you want to think about moving to Africa or repatriating, how you go about that. So in our travels and in our process of also repatriating ourselves to Ghana in particular, we decided to share with our brothers and sisters here in the
Some of the
diaspora
details.
some of the details and some of the insights of what it takes to travel and also to repatriate to Africa.
Oh, I
So we're
I love it.
diasporans. We're
When you
diasporans
say
born in New York by way of Jamaica.
All right, so we're Jamaican
nice,
parentage.
nice.
I was born in New York, but I actually grew up in Jamaica.
And then I was born and raised in New York and then here in South Florida.
Okay, so that's great. You hear like what is diaspora mean? So I want to get into like first the fear. So I've heard you go like and I'm from Black American perspective right here in the States. we're not African, or I don't want to go there. They don't have this, they don't have that. It's a developing country, or that's my political correct term. We talking our people. Sometimes it comes out in a whole nother way. What are the stereotypes that you've heard, and then what are the ways in which we can break that down, or after your experience and going, and what prompted you also to say, you know what, this year is going to be the year I take my trip, the first time you decided to go to the motherland? What stereotypes did you heard before then, and what were dispelled after you took your first trip there?
Okay, so when we initially, first of all, when we did our tour last year, there were people who were asking us if they had towels in the hotel,
They have hotels.
if they have hotels. We had people telling us to be careful to make sure we didn't get into a coup. We went to 3 countries together on our first trip in 2017. We went to Ghana, Benin, and Togo. And, even for ourselves coming from the diaspora, it was my very first time going to the continent, not his. And I definitely had stereotypes that were more connected to the perception of violence. When we first landed in Ghana, so I'm going to be transparent and share my own negative stereotypes that I traveled with on my first trip. And we went into this market, and there was, these brothers, they were selling products, and they were getting aggressive about us buying some of the products. They weren't doing anything harmful. They were just, outside vendors. And my husband, he said, I'm not getting anything right now. Just give me a moment. And I pulled him to the side and I said, what if he kills us? And so,
You went all the way, 0 to 100.
I went all the way. I mean, for no reason. And guess what happened though, Ashley? And we need to talk about this. And I'm a mental health professional. We need to talk about the media and the perception and how powerful. Here I am, someone who I consider myself to be very Black conscious, very much into African liberation. And I went on my first trip in just 2017. And that was my mindset. It took me traveling several visits to understand that there's so much prosperity on the continent. The houses are beautiful. The food is healthier. They don't have Monsanto. There's no GMO. They're friendly. We are loving. I'm not gonna say we are loving, because that is our natural nature. That is who we are. How I see our brothers and sisters on the continent. We're shopping from one brother, and he's telling us, wait, don't shop with me. You've been buying too much. I want you to buy from my brother too. There's that crabs in a barrel mentality. You don't see that. There's no dialogue around Black business or Black owned, because everything is Black owned. People are naturally entrepreneurs. I mean, I could go on and on, but I don't want to. I want you to add in.
Yes, so just to add to what Sister Church was saying, I first traveled to Ghana in particular in 1998, right? So I've been back and forth to Africa since, and just seeing the different developments and stages of Ghana in particular, seeing it coming from a low point and going into a high point. The low point meaning that
Mom, I'm on camera.
Yes, so the low point was meaning that the country was now really getting out of its colonial ways and start embracing this Pan-African vibration, because the president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, was actually a Garveyite. And when he went and became the first president of Ghana, he brought that whole Pan-Africanism mindset to the continent. And with him and Haile Selassie, they formed the OAU at the time, which was the Organization of African Unity. And through that, they started to welcome back home diasporans. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if everyone is aware, but there's 6 regions of Africa, right? 6 regions. You have the North, the South, the East, the West, the Central region, which is the 5th region. The 6th region is the diasporan brothers and sisters in the West. Mm-hmm. So they consider the diasporans brothers and sisters who were descendants of our kidnapped, enslaved ancestors. We are considered the 6th region of Africa, right? So that's something that That's something that a lot of us are not aware of. So they do count us as a part of them. So this whole separatist vibes of, oh, I'm American or I'm Jamaican, I'm not African American because I was born in America. I don't know about slavery and this, that, and Africans sold us into slavery, so they betrayed us and all that nonsense. It's just propaganda from the propaganda machine to keep us separate, because not only do we have our um, misnomers about Africans, Africans also have their misnomers about us. So when they come here, it's like there's a disconnect, because they're, we want to say that they're looking down on us and they think that we're looking down on them. And that's all been played out through the media, because the media pit us against each other. So they do their same strategy of divide and conquer. And once they divide us, it's easy for them to conquer us, right? And just traveling through our experience and traveling back and forth to the continent, it laid a lot of those stereotypes to rest.
Oh yeah.
Right? And what's one of the best ways to learn is through experience. And just by traveling the continent, we were able to experience that and gain that knowledge to know that a lot of these misnomers are really false narratives that the media create to keep us separate, right? So through our travels, we decided to do our tour and also decided to start Let's Talk Africa, so we could bring this information to our brothers and sisters here in the diaspora, so we could bridge that gap and make that connection, so we could say that we are one and the same, we're not separate. You know what I mean?
It's true.
That's such a Kwaku, that's such a powerful statement. Everything that you're saying, everything that you and Acherico are saying, it's extremely powerful. Because I can say that I have felt, or I've been told, like I've heard from someone who was from Ghana, and they go like, why don't Americans associate with the continent? And then I've heard someone from another continent go, you're not African. Why do you guys even call yourselves African American? So you find yourself
Right.
in
Absolutely.
this place of no man's land. In
Yes.
America, I went to Florida State University, and you'll have, a person, white person, not all, this is just one personal experience. He goes, go back to Africa, and it's like, but I've never been. So it's like, where do you find yourself a home? And so you guys have been traveling to Ghana and taking groups to Ghana. I want you to talk a little bit, just about what that trip is like. I am looking forward to having a global life. What can, when we think about Blacks in the West, Africans in the West, that sixth, region that you're talking about, us having global consciousness and a possible international economy. What does it look like when you take people on that trip? How many days? You talked about repatriation, and then I know you have like an entire talk that people can like get in on the details. Tell us a little bit, just give us a snippet of what that trip is like, and then how people can get more details about it.
Ooh, where do we start?
Oh, okay. Well,
11 days.
it's 11 days, right? We were supposed to do our tour this year, July 24th to August 3rd. However, due to the global pandemic, we had to cancel our trip because the country was closed.
But we could talk about the year of return and the amazing things that we did and what we're going to do next year, because last year we took a group of 16 during the year of return,
which was 2019, which was the anniversary of the first slave ship leaving from Ghana to Jamestown, Virginia. So it was in 1619, 1619 to 2019, that's 400 years. So in the year of return, which was 2019, the government of Ghana, they launched an initiative calling it the year of return, which was opening the door for diasporans and Africans on the continent to make that connection, right? So when we were talking about that whole link, Ghana made headway when they did this whole year of return program. So we were blessed to be a part of that program. We were able to take our travelers to Ghana to participate in the year of return and also to participate in the emancipation celebrations that they had there.
So we marched in the same path as our ancestors marched when they were, just like how we marching for Trayvon Martin and George Floyd. They literally marched in revolt against the colonizers from one part into the slave dungeon. We did the same march.
Yes, because there's an actual, when you come on the tour with us, we actually go to a place called Ansi Manso,
Manso.
which is called the last bath. The reason why it's called the last bath, because when they were taking our enslaved ancestors, prisoners of war,
Yes.
to be more specific, because and I mean slaves, we were never born slaves, right? We were captured people, so we were prisoners of war. So when they took us from the point of where we were captured, there was a river that they took us to. So it was like a midway point from that point to the slave dungeons where we were sold and taken away. But they had a little midpoint market, which was like a little auction, or I mean, a little farmers market, to kind of bring it back to modern day terms, where they stopped and then you have people who were buying slaves who want to buy slaves wholesale. They'll go to this market. They have the slave, our ancestors go into the bath and take their last bath, rub them down with shea butter, have the men made themselves presentable. So when the colonizers came to buy the slaves, they'll see them, with their body looking good, the skin looking clean, and those who wasn't purchased at that point were taken to the slave dungeon, where that's where their last time seeing the continent, until they got to their points of demarcation when they reached the west.
Yes. So we experienced
that's extremely painful. I'm like a little overwhelmed. I can only imagine what it would feel like, to walk that path. Knowing that we still, like, people can't understand. Some people don't understand that real, very, very extremely real connection. And some people are very well disconnect to the experience. Some people, I call it cognitive dissonance. I want to be disconnected from that experience, because to think about, my ancestors who decided to live, them being here right now, they had to go through that. They had to go through that moment. I love the walk. I love the talk. I know that you got land there. Can you talk about ownership and land? Because one of the things Black people in America and in the West and the Caribbean were always going, and I'll say in America especially, because I feel like the Caribbean spaces still have a dominant Black like ecosystem. So ownership, creating safe communities, creating safe spaces. What is the connection there doing in Ghana? And what's the plan for this repatriation or doors opening for the year of return for the diaspora?
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up, because we're actually for next year, which is called Beyond the Return 2021. We launched an initiative. We had some partners. We partnered up with Ken Construction, who is a company in Ghana that build homes, and we bought some land and they're building our home in Ghana. So we came together and we formed a partnership, because during our tour there was a lot of tour participants that were inquiring about purchasing land. So when we came back, because we purchased land and we know the ins and outs of buying land and what to do to get land, we decided to partner up with Ken Construction, and we purchased 7 acres of land in New Gingo Pram Pram, right, which is on the outskirts of Accra. So if anybody would like to know where New Gingo Pram Pram is, you could go ahead and Google that. Right, New Ningo Pram Pram. Right, it's
the average cost of an acre.
Right. So what we're doing is we purchased 7 acres of land, and now we're in the development stages of creating our own diasporan community to give opportunities for our brothers and sisters who would like to return home but don't have the know-how or the connections to make this purchase, or to get this opportunity. We'll basically have everything set in place for you guys, a one-stop shop. We call ourselves repatriation agents. We're here to aid and assist our brothers and sisters in their return home. So for more information, like I said, we're still in our early stages of development, because we just purchased land. We were supposed to be there, but because of the pandemic, we were unable to travel. But the country is open now for travel. So we will be traveling to Ghana soon to work out the details, and we definitely what's the cost? Okay, so the cost, for us right now, we're working out the cost for the land that we purchased, right?
We own our own acre.
We
We
own our own
actually,
acre of land.
after traveling together for the first time, we committed and we went back in like a few months and we went and purchased our own 1 acre of
Right.
land.
And the cost of the land is dependent upon where you're purchasing your land and
Okay.
who you're purchasing your land from. So it's location, location, location. Just like here in the States, right? If you want to buy something in a neighborhood that's
Water.
close to the water,
Yeah.
or that's the neighborhood where there's a lot of affluent people that are living in the neighborhood, the prices vary. Or if you're going to go to the outskirts, right? If you're going to go to the outskirts, then the land will be cheaper. But we're setting up our package. We have more
Well, this is what
information.
I say. Yes. I was gonna say you gotta go on the trip, So I have some
Yes,
people in the background chatting and commenting. If you want to
yes.
get that price of land, you gotta go ahead and go on the trip with a Kweku and a Cheriku, Akoma Healing Arts, to Ghana, so that you can see it up close and personal. My question, because I asked you this question before, and I kind of want to have my guest kind of hear it too. So the question is like, if we, let's say, Black Americans go, hey, this is a great idea. I have the income. I can do this. How do you know that you're not going to deal with the same level of prejudice, because you're a foreigner to some, like you're coming in as an other, with your own mindset and set of beliefs. How do you find a safe space now in a land that you feel should accept you? But we're individuals, we're human beings, we're tribal. Like, we go with what is comfortable, or what we know. We exclude, we find our little pockets and we sit in there. How do you know that you won't be faced with the same level of prejudice, as now an
Well,
American
for,
coming
for
into
that for
Africa?
that particular
I
for
actually
that
want to.
particular for that particular situation, it's based on your mindset, right? So because we've been here in the West so long, even though we're conscious, once I start traveling back and forth to Africa, I see that no matter how conscious I think I am here,
There's so
when I
much to
get there,
learn.
there's so much to learn,
Learn a lot.
right? So you have to re-Africanize your mind. So your mindset has to change. Because we might go there and still act like colonizers, but
Right.
we've been colonized.
And what that means, though, we have to be specific. What does it mean to act like the colonizer? If we come there with a greed mentality, if we come there that we're going to clean somebody up, take their business from them, the way how we function here, I want more than the other person. They're going to call you a Bruni. A
Yeah.
Bruni means white man.
Right. Same capitalistic mindset.
Right. So you could have brown skin, but if you behave like an Abruni, they're going to call you a Bruni. And we have to go there and be humble. We cannot go into the continent believing that we're going to teach them. We have to be humble to learn what they also have to teach us.
Right? Because it's an even exchange, right? Even exchange meaning that we're here in the
Yeah.
West. We had an opportunity to get the education, learn certain technological skills, and have certain fundamentals in terms of how society is set in terms of modernization, right? But there in Africa, you still have the cultural part, right? You still have certain practices and certain things that you have to do. You can't just come and just go there and thinking that, oh, you want to operate like how you operate in the West. It's different. Certain cultural things that we
So go
have
in
to
there,
do.
Right.
humble yourself, come there to
Yes,
learn, and
yes.
visit.
And teach.
I want to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys for, you can find both Cherico and Kweku at Akoma Healing Arts. There is a trip happening 2020. I will be going. I'm very excited. And if you want to get on and learn more about the travel, you want to travel with the group, you want to learn, I suggest and I highly recommend traveling, with my group, with them. So we all go together as a group. Maybe we'll buy some property together or do something great together.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you both for being here with us today. I'm honored, I'm blessed, and I'm so excited to bring on our next guest. Thank you. Let them know
Thank
again
you
where they
all.
can find
Fantastic.
you. I know I said it
Fantastic.
a few times.
Oh, we're hosting a Zoom call this weekend, actually Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you all can just go to our website,
Register for the tour.
okomahealingarts.org. If you register, you're just registering for information. It's a way for us to get your contact information, and we'll give you a call and we can send you the invitation to the Zoom. So thank you, Ashley.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. I'm looking forward to Sunday getting on the call. That's Cheraku and Kweku, Akoma Healing Arts. You guys, let's go. So we start the conversation with let's go into Africa. Hearing from diasporans, I never heard of a sixth region. We actually have a few guests here who are born and bred from the motherland, especially phenomenal artists, phenomenal business women and men. And I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest, Mr. Adewale Andenle. We can have him on. He's a visual artist born in Nigeria. We're going to talk a little bit about Wale and his work and the things that he's been up to. If you're just tuning in, we're doing our Juneteenth digital playback. We're talking Africa, and we're going. I said the conversation about Black liberation can't be a full conversation without talking about the homeland. How you doing today, Adewale?
I am doing well. Nice to see you, Ashley. It's been a while.
It is such a it's a pleasure to see you as well. It's a pleasure to see you. Wale, I wanted to. Is it okay if I call you Wale?
Oh, please.
Here?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay, great. You are an artist. I had an experience your work in South Florida at Bailey Contemporary Arts, and have built a rapport and relationship for you. Actually, before that, at the Stephen P. Clark Center downtown, you actually were curating a show for Nigerian Independence Day. That's where we actually met, and I had the honor. I wanted you to tell the audience here a little bit about who you are as an artist, where you're from, originally, like nationally, and how you actually got into the art form of visual and painting and art.
Well, thank you, Ashley. Um, I was born in Nigeria, and as it's known in African culture, most African ethnic group, it's you might be born in, for instance, you are born in Miami. You are not originally from Miami. You are from where your father is from. So I was born in Lagos, but my father is from somewhere else. So I still can't claim Lagos, though I was born in Lagos. So and in a normal traditional African family, the father or the parents want you to be a doctor, a lawyer, or engineer. And I started up studying law, and got to a point I feel that's not my calling. So I had to quit after about 2 years. Of course, that didn't go down well with my father, who happens to be a custodian of several cultural um, things that are in my culture, in my homeland. So he really wanted me to learn the culture more, but he still want me to be to have a kind of job that is different from art. So
Mm-hmm.
that cost a lot. So that's how I started anyway. I had to go into it, and I've uh, I've been in it for, I don't know, if I tell you now you think I'm old, but so I think for a little while. So and I've traveled. I've really talked about culture, and that's what I'm more interested in. And I'm so happy with what the brother Kweku talked about. So that's actually has been the at the forefront of my work since I've been doing art. I temporarily left Florida last year,
Mm-hmm.
and I moved down to Ohio on a scholarship doing my PhD at the Ohio State University in cultural policy, and also I'm also teaching in the department there. So, but I'm happy to. I mean, I just don't know what I can say. There are so many things. I live in New Orleans. I had a big sculpture in the city of New Orleans, commissioned by the city, on the history of music. Actually, how music came from Africa and found a place in New Orleans through the Congo Square. And I think I was a political cartoonist. Got into trouble with the military regime, and I'm still alive.
And
Thanks.
you're still alive. I love it, Wale. So I want to talk a little bit about your journey from Lagos to the US. about we're going to talk a little bit a little bit about your work, because I know we're showcasing some of that work. Before we get there, excuse me, I want to talk about your journey from Lagos to the US, and what has been your experience as someone who is born from the continent, you know, from the motherland, and then being here as what I call like a true African American, right? So you're here in the culture. What is that like for you? You heard the conversation just earlier between Acharaku and Kweku as well. Thanks, Matt. We have an experience of coming from ancestors who were taken from, you know, who were forced into forced labor and then freed and then fighting for freedom. You're coming from a space of liberation and freedom of yourself, of your body. So how do you walk through this world? Does that even come to mind for you? Does that affect your work? Are there points in your life or in Lagos or spaces in where oppression occurred or something similar? Like, what is that story for Wale from Lagos to the US as a Black man?
Well, I don't know where do we start? But as you know, I mean, probably you know, we have about 125 ethnic groups in Nigeria, 125 ethnic groups with different dialects. So we definitely have a lot of languages and dialects. And also we have some what I'll call tribes, though I hardly like to use that word. But we have those ethnic groups in different regions, and some have dominated over the other for some time now. And there's been a lot of whether formal or informal resistance, so which actually brought about the idea of suppression and intimidation by one group over the other. To me, we can call it tribalism in most cases in Africa or in Nigeria, but it has a little bit of connection to also it connects to what is being experienced there as a Black man or and white man, the relationship that we're seeing these days. The only difference about that is that they're not doing it based on their majority power. They are doing it because of those that are in office or that have the political power at that point. So it's kind of, it rotates to a certain extent. And there's this serious suspicion among each tribe to some extent, though there are still some tribes that are all ethnic groups that are really interested or so respectful of each other. There are a lot of that. But when it comes to politics, it turns into something different, very brutal and dangerous sometimes. Also, one of the things that I've observed, whether in Nigeria or here, is that there's this adage that says your window is a dangerous place to watch the world. If you are there, the way we see Americans or American African Americans, we really look at it in a very high. We put them on that high esteem, and when we get here, also there are a lot of people that now wonder why we see homeless people on the streets. Because I mean, when you're in Africa, you hardly would notice whether there is something called homelessness in America. So we believe it's African. I remember when I was affected by Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, and this thing was shown on TV where Black people were in the water and all that. Everybody thought in Africa. I mean, even my dad was like, "Are you sure you're in America?" You know, because it looks. I mean, I had to evacuate from New Orleans, and those are some of the things that we have already put in our head while we're in Africa. We don't believe we believe America is perfect, whether Black or white. Let's just use that word, perfection in everything. And then you come down here, you see a lot of stuff, and you start wondering whether you actually maybe the hairline you took really dropped you in the right place, or you took you somewhere else. So sometimes you have to wonder that. So Anyway, and I'm getting
I
here.
go
Say that again. Hello? Somebody said something?
like where no matter where you go, like propaganda is propaganda, marketing is marketing.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the
exactly.
marketing machine works really well
Yeah.
everywhere.
But you see, the worst thing about this thing is when I got here, there's been a lot of propaganda that has come up. I've seen on the news. For instance, I kept on talking. I kept on listening to watching CNN and some news media talking about. I mean, I think it was 1990 something when the activists in the Niger Delta region of Nigeria, they started kidnapping the oil workers, and I observed that CNN was calling them terrorists because they were capturing these oil workers. But unfortunately, many of our black folks and even, well, of course, Caucasian believe that, oh, they are terrorists. But nobody tried to get to the root of the matter when these people were being exploited, their homeland were destroyed by oil workers, oil companies, and all these multinational oil companies. And now these people, since the early 70s, they have been going through a lot. And even the UN report about 3 years ago said that it would take about 90 years to clean all the oil spillage that has been poured in the Niger Delta area of Nigeria. And that was the one done by Shell Petroleum only. We have other oil companies that did it. So in 2010, when there's this big oil spillage in the Gulf Coast here, and everybody was shouting, and I said, wow, so we know this is dangerous. So now we're talking. That is just when you look at the liter of oil that was spilled compared to what has been done in Nigeria since the 70s, then these people now decided to kidnap and do whatever they can do. They put laws in their hand when nobody came to help them in around 2009. Then they call them terrorists. So the way they present it, and when you talk to African Americans too, they seems to buy it. The same thing, the way they present the news about Africa. If there's a kidnapping occurring or that occurred in somewhere like in Miami, for instance, I mean, it's I don't know, a small place in Miami, not even the entire Miami. They will in CNN will tell you, oh, it's Miami, the state of Florida, oh, it's in the US. But if it's Africa, it's in Nigeria, maybe a small tiny village in Africa. They don't even tell you the village. They just tell you Nigeria. So that's why I reckon with what Brother Kweku talked about that, oh, you're going to Africa, are you going to be safe? Are you going to be this or that? So a lot of stuff like that has occurred. And the other thing which you mentioned, which I wanted to quickly mention, was the issue of, I mean, discrimination between blacks and black, or, I mean, black on black discrimination. He mentioned something like that. Some people thought, oh, my forefathers sold your forefathers into slavery. Actually, I got somebody who told me that to my face. And I was like, okay, then I wanted to try to change that narrative to, but I realized that this has been ingrained in him. And these are some of the people that I still use that proverb for. If your window is a dangerous place to watch the world. So those are some of the things that I've experienced between Africa and here. And well, it's
it's powerful. It's such a powerful conversation and just a great way to like get into your art, because I think your background, you can see that you're very, very astute with politics and very clear, and you're not watching the world from your window. You're actually seeing it from different viewpoints, which makes you a powerful and phenomenal visual artist. I want to talk a little bit about some of the work that I've seen and some of the work that we're going to feature here today. And I'm going to take that quote with me. It's very dangerous
you're breaking up.
to watch the world from your window. It reminds me of work that you have. So let's talk about this.
I can.
Can you hear me now, Wale?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Perfect. So if we could take it back just maybe a few, and just tell us a little bit about the work that's popping up on the screen, Wale, and how what inspired the work, and she's gonna start from right there, I think. Yeah, Tosh, that's perfect. So Wally, I feel like you talked about your window is a very dangerous place to live the world. And I think that piece reflects it. She took us back to the beginning. We can start right here. Tell us a little bit about this piece.
First of all, I mean, all these works, we can find them on my website. I think, Tacha, I think you misspell is my last name.com for my website. It's not my first name. It should be my last name. So that's just on the painting you are looking at is about 22 feet. 22 feet is about 5 panels. It's 5 panels anyway. And is something that I've been working on. I worked on it for about 4 years or 3 years. And it tells the history of Nigeria from independence in October 1st, 1960, up to at least 2 years ago, I would say. So I don't know what I was going to continue. I'm going to continue working on that one thing. But it brought in, there's this duality that you see with this work, not just in terms of the political landscape, also in terms of what we see as reality and what is actually there when we get engaged in some discourse, social political discourse. The first thing is that I brought in the Queen of England from the beginning. If you look at your left on the top left, that's the Queen, and the British flag lowered in 1960 when the Union Jack was lowered. Nigerian flag came up, and then it's been coup after coup. Military purge, oil. I mean, Nigeria found oil in the late 60s. And also, at the same time, we went into the Civil War, the 3-year Civil War, which a lot of people died. So that's when you see the blood and the red in some places. It was the most bloodiest period in Nigeria history. And also, of course, when we got the oil, the oil was supposed to be a blessing, but it looks like it's a curse, because the more we get the oil, the more we decided not to pursue other areas of income for the country. And so what you now see is that I deliberately put Shell in front, because that's the worst perpetrator in Nigeria of this evil act. And you see all this oil spillage and how people died and all that. If you look through this, unfortunately, you can't see it from the picture, but if you look at it always towards the middle, towards the below, you see photograph of myself all over the place. I'm the storyteller telling the story when I was a baby up till when I'm what I am now. So it's just an history. And of course, towards the end, you see a lot of rats, which signify corruption in my culture. So when you start putting rats in something, it means that corruption, maladministration, and all that. Then you see some pipes. Those pipes are very, very important in my paintings. I use that a lot, because the essence of the pipes is that when I have an aversion to something, it's like if you and I are having a debate, Ashley, and I said, I can punch holes in your argument. It's like I'm literally punching holes in that argument. But I'm not just punching holes. I'm also creating, on the other side of it, I'm creating other facts that you need to look at. So when I punch that holes and you get closer to it, you'll be able to look through the holes and see other reality that is being encumbered by this or by the colorful vibrancy or whatever that is right in front of you that we all come to know as the truth. But the truth is actually at the back. We're just like a politician talking. You don't have to listen to what they're. You should not listen to what they're saying. You should listen to what they are not saying. And that was the essence of the duality in my work. And I think, and you see the bumps and everything. This is a 3-dimensional painting. The bumps actually represent the fact that political terrain has never been smooth. It's always rough. Wherever you go, it's even in the US, everywhere, it's always rough and very porous in those cases, and a lot of intrigues and all that going on there. There are a lot of 3D. We have the armor tanks at the below on the far left. Down there, yes, that's the armor tanks are there. There are 3D armor tanks and all that. So I can talk about this. It's just it's a lot. It's like a memoir for me about my history, and and how it connects to the US. Well, this is actually talking about the politics here. It's the donkey and the elephant. We know what that is. It's so funny that the Democrats are using the donkey and the Republicans are using the elephant. And if we look at it, this was a comical thing that was done by Thomas Nast. He was a cartoonist.
Yeah.
In the 18th or 17th century, he was trying to support Andrew Jackson for president. And he was a very powerful cartoonist. He actually unseated the whole mayor, and he was able to elect a lot of presidents. So Thomas Nast drew cartoon about the elephant beating the donkey, and it was a mockery of was going on there. Unfortunately, we found out that the Republicans and Democrats, they are now using these animals as their symbol, and to me, it's a kind of mockery. It makes mockery of the system. And here you have the donkey and the elephant, which is Democrat and Republican, and they're looking through the window. If you look closer, outside there, you see human beings carrying loads of stuff, they are being enslaved. And inside the room also, you see so many things like the guns and news media, which are, of course, are altered a little bit. The CNN, the fixed news, and all those. And of course, the .com, which actually we rely on for our source of information. And you see all these people, and you have the cats destroying the Constitution. And you see below that is we. We are being trampled upon. We that came out of the Constitution is on the floor. So we, the people. And you see on top right corner, you see George Washington shedding tears. And I tell you, if George Washington is alive today, he will say, I told you so, because he said that we should not have political parties. But Hamilton and Jefferson, they really wanted that because of power. And today, submitted our freedom to the whims and caprices of this donkey and the elephant. People don't even know who they are voting for anymore. They just go to the polling booth. Some people are like, oh, I don't even know who is the Democrat, who is the Republican. We don't even care to know what they do, what they're going to do. So it's like the donkey and the elephant are the main thing that controls the whole thing, and issues and policies are being decided based on your affiliation. So if Washington is alive today, he would say, I told you so. And if you look through the holes, actually, yeah. If you look through the holes, I'm against this. That's my aversion. The holes, like I said earlier, the holes now give us an alternative when you get engaged with this world. The essence of actually having the 3D is to come out of the wall. I don't want a painting that is flat on the wall. I want people to be going and look at it and say, oh, something is there. Because politics is something that infiltrates into our space. It's calling for our attention. So I got to do a painting that really is infiltrating or is getting into your space. That's why the 3D, and also the 3D allows me to create a duality at the back that shows other realities. So I mean, it's a lot of story.
I love it. The storytelling around your work. I'm sure everyone is captivated here just as much as I am. You are a phenomenal artist. It's clear that you also use your voice in your work. I know that we have your website there, andenle.com.
Yeah, you got it.
You can find his work, all of the work there. He has some work behind him as well. That's a beautiful motif, working with wood and sculpture, lots of different visual mediums that you can enjoy. If you just wanted to leave people who are interested, I know we're talking Africa, we're talking about the conversation. If they were interested in visiting Lagos or Nigeria and they've never been before, what's one thing you would tell them on your trip? Prepare for, get ready for. What would you tell them? Get excited about? Put you on the spot.
Look, one thing I know is that I will be leaving in 2 months. I'll be traveling there, and I love to go there. And of course, you will say, oh, because I'm from there. But I think it's still a good place to be, especially if you know where you are going. The first thing is that Kweku and the sister said something very important. Don't come in like you want to change the system. You want to, or you are better off than others. So you want to come in with all your humility and you want to ask questions. Actually, if you get a tour guide, that would be good because you need somebody who can really talk. Because most of the things you have, like shops, you don't have something so much like Walmart where the price is already there. You have to haggle over most of it. Like if you're going to buy a car for $20,000, they'll start with $30,000. You have to haggle it down to. So anyway,
you better know how to negotiate
and negotiate very well. So I think, but you're gonna have fun. You enjoy the food. You enjoy the culture. You're gonna really have fun. It's a good
I
place.
love it. Thank you so much, Wale, for being here with us again. I'm so honored that you took a moment out of your PhD busy life to speak with us. We're looking forward to you becoming Dr. Andenle. And thank you. Have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.
Good one, everybody. We are here talking Africa. I said this conversation. This is, I think, our 5th or 6th show. We have 9 shows in the series where we're talking about what does it look like for the culture when we think about what is it like in America and what is it to think on a global perspective from whence the place our ancestors came. My next guest is a vendor alert. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman. Beautiful fabrics. I have 2 more guests for you. Beautiful women. I'd like to bring on Miss Kimmy from Chic and Prince. Miss Chic and Prince. Hello, Kimmy. Kimmy.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
I can hear you. How are you doing this evening?
I am doing great. I really enjoyed everyone that has spoken tonight. I've learned some things that I didn't even know myself. So awesome. Glad to be here.
I love it. You look fabulous. Are you wearing one of your prints? Let's start there.
Yes, I am.
Of course,
yes,
y'all see it. Yes, beautiful and vibrant.
Thank you.
So, Kimmy, before we talk a little bit about your wear, your clothes, your garbs, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what got you into fashion and Chic and Prince, like where you started, where you're from, and how you got into your industry.
Awesome. Great question. Well, like Mr. Adewale said, I am from Nigeria. I was born in Florida, actually. My siblings, most of us were born in Tallahassee, but my parents took us back when we were little, like 5. I went back when I was 5, and I went to school over in Nigeria. Our parents would say, "Oh, we wanted you to learn the culture," so we took you back home. When it came time for college, I came back when I was 17. So, like Mr. Wale said, you watch on TV, America is the greatest place to be. You want to be there. You just want to go. And that's how it started. So when I got to America, I came to study. First, it was law. I changed from law. I went into finance. So I have a bachelor's degree in finance. I will be working on my master's shortly. But finance but I've always had a thing for fashion. And I was always at the back of my mind to go into fashion. When I would dress up, people say, "Oh my God, I love the way you dress," and all that stuff. So it was always at the back of my head. Now let's fast forward. I came here when I was 17. That was back in 1999. When I came to America, came here, got my degree, but I noticed that from 1999 up until 2020, America has really changed. I know it changed my whole view on what I thought America was. Even now, it's just really not the America that I grew up knowing. So a light bulb came up for me back in 2017. I was hearing a lot about support Black businesses, support. I was working in corporate America. I still work in corporate America. And I was like, you know what? How do I support a Black business? I'm like, yeah, I buy from Black businesses, but how do I really, really support? You know? So I said, you know what? I love fashion. What are we going to do about fashion? You know? I said, I'm working at this corporate job. Where am I going to find the time? And then I said, you know, I am from Nigeria. I can go back to Nigeria and just source for fabric. And but before that even started, I saw the movement of the Afro culture, right? Because I remember when I came to America, it was kind of like, I had a job and everybody was so fascinated by the way I spoke. They'll say, oh my God, you have an accent. Where's that from? And I would say, I'm from Nigeria. And some would make fun of me. I caught some people say, ooh, African booty scratcher, blah, 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 in the corner. But I just said, you know what? When that happens so many times, I just say, you know what, we're just gonna roll with it. And I'm someone, I don't let things get to me. I'm like, okay, want to call me African booty scratcher? That's fine. But I started educating people. You know, I was just like, you know, you can't be that ignorant to think that's what Africa is all about. So if you want to learn my culture, fine. You want to make fun, fine. Or you want to learn. And gradually you teach one, everybody learns, you know? So that was back in 1999. But I started seeing a movement like 2009, 2010. Everybody's like, you know what? I want to go back to my roots. You know, I want to know all about Africa. I want to know. So I'm just like, awesome. Let's learn about Africa. And what struck me was I would go to like a lounge or brunch, and it was Afro beats. They started playing Afro beats, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Our music is pressing over. And I would hear it, but I'm like, I wonder who the people listening to Afro beats. And I started to do my survey, and I'm like, where are you from? They're like, I'm Haitian. And the way they would just vibe to the whole thing, I'm like, okay. And then you had Jamaicans, the Caribbean, and I'm like, okay. And I said, these people like Afrobeat. So what's next? We talk about culture. It's going to be the food. It's going to be the way you dress. So I'm like, what if I bring my fashion to America? And I asked a couple of people. I said, listen, I really love African prints. If I made you a fly pencil skirt, would you wear it to work? Or would you, if I made you a nice jacket, would you wear it to work? And a lot of them were like, yeah, I would. And I said, okay, let's do a trial. And I said, okay, we're going to do a trial. And I just, I was here. I just sourced for fabric. I said, you know what? There's nothing wrong in trying. And that time, in my life, my job was like giving me so much trouble. I'm like, I'm really stressed. I worked so hard. I worked long, but I want to do something fun. If we go back to my Facebook post, I actually posted something saying, guys, I need help. I want to do something fun, something that I love. And someone just said, go into fashion. Some people said, go into event planning. You're good at it. And I'm just like, fashion. I'm like, okay, if I invest $1,000, at least I know I tried. And if it doesn't work, at least I know I tried. But my whole thing, and then if you know about African culture, when your friends are getting married, there's something we call Ashoebi, right? So we're down here in America. Ashoebi just simply means when my friends getting married, the friend of the family. If I pick this print and I say, you know what, all my sorority sisters, I want you in this print. All my family friends, I want you in green. We all select that same fabric and you make different styles out of it. So what was happening was in America, we couldn't find good tailors that understood the fabric. Some you have to line, some you have to cut a different way. And we were having issues. You go to a party and your zipper will pop, or the dress just, you can't even use it more than once. So I said, you know what, that's another thing. Not only am I going to provide fashion to people that are not African, I would also provide it to my African sisters that have an issue with tailors here. So my journey started. I decided to go to Nigeria, and I got a whole team together. My mom comes back and forth, and I'm like, you're gonna be the quality assurance person. You're gonna be this. I want it perfect because everything in America is perfect, okay? No thread hanging, no zippers. I want it perfect. So but I'm going to tell you, I went there with that idea, but everything changed. Then I started to see that, I could design, I could draw what I wanted to see, but I couldn't sew. I don't know how to sew. I could just design what I wanted. And I'm like, wow, that's a talent I don't have. And when I was talking to my seamstresses, I was so amazed by what they could accomplish. I could tell you about this dress. And mind you, they don't sew with patterns. They go off their head, they look at the picture, and they're able to cut it. They're able to cut that design and create you a wonderful piece. And I'm like, wow, this is so much talent that they have. And the only thing that separates us is the blue passport or you crossing over. So I said, you know what? We talk about helping Black businesses, helping Black people. I'm like, how can I empower these girls that sew for me? So I started with one. I didn't have that much money. I said I was going to use $1,000, and I had drawn about maybe 10 designs that I wanted. And I said, can you do this? And she told me, yes, I can. And I said, okay, we'll try. I haven't, someone just told me you're good. We'll try. But when she came out with like a purple sewing machine. And I'm like, oh, geez, we're in trouble.
You're like,
but I'm just like, you know what? I just stepped out on stage. I just said, you know what? Go ahead and make this design. I'm like, okay, I'm going to hear a story that it wasn't completed and I wasted my money. And I'm telling you, in 3 weeks, she made me 53 amazing pieces. When they came,
my God,
we sold out. But what was so interesting about this particular girl was she was sewing out of her room. Her parents lived in that one room, and her siblings. But because I had given her this project, during the day, they would go out, have her sew, and they all come back at night. So I just said, you know what? So I called her. I said, listen, 53 pieces sold out in 3 days. We're onto something. I said, let's do it again. And I had my very, very first event. It was called AfroFest. I was going to vend. I had no idea, never vended before. I'm just like, oh. And I had a friend come with me. She's like, well, most of this vending stuff, you're just going to sit down there all day. You probably sell like 5 things, but I'm like, listen, I don't care if I sell one thing. We're just going to roll with but I have to tell you, my line was so long. It was so long, we sold out. But the blessing in all of this is that girl now, from sewing in her room, this all happened in 2017. She was ready December 3rd. I registered my business December 29th of 2017. I can tell you by 2018, she owned her own shop. She's hired other seamstresses. So we are creating jobs. I may start off small. I'm still small, but I am content knowing that I'm actually helping someone. And we've grown from just one seamstress to about 8 seamstresses now. But I always tell my girls and guys, behind every piece you buy from me, there's a story to someone. It's just not so, I'm not just someone that saw African prints. I'm like, woo, I'm gonna do that style. I want to know your story. What is your story? The lady that sews my maxi dress, she went to design school, but she just can't get out. Maybe she gets like one, so like 10 pieces every other month. But I'm just like, okay, let's hear your story. She can sew very well. When you see my maxi dresses, they look like they came out of Macy's. Like, the finishing is on point.
So, Kimmy,
So,
I love your story. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I
yes,
love your
I
story.
can.
I want to get in there because you gave us like a journey. Everybody went on the journey with you. That was so inspiring. In less than what, 17,
Thank you.
18, 19, 3 years, you went from one seamstress to 8 seamstress, people moving out, owning their shops. And it was on faith, so it's like things that I want people to take away from. And you just said something also very powerful, because you go, oh, I'm gonna vend, you never sell. No, that's not everybody's story. It's like when you say thank you for sharing, I'm still gonna go and see what happens. You just had a feeling, and sometimes we have to move on those feelings. So I want to commend you, one, for moving
Thank
on that
you.
feeling, two, for seeing the opportunity where you saw the problem. You said, hey, for the culture. I feel like we got the Nigerian power on the show tonight, because our next guest is also from Nigeria. So you guys are showing out, working, making it happen. So showing that the culture can be infused and integrated. Exactly. Amazing and inspiring story. I'm right there with you that it can be infused and integrated into what's happening here in the West. And you said something, you're like, well, everything in America is made perfect. I'm like, well, most of it's not made here. So,
I know.
we go, most of it's not made here. So it's just like the quality is coming from those wonderful global hands. And so our entire conversation today, Let's Talk Africa, it's talking about finding value in motherland, in continent, in homeland, in patriot. And I want to ask you, like, how you found a way to bridge, I'm saying bridge culture, but bridge the continents, in your business. Was that hard for you? Is it something, that you inspired to continue to do? And then I want you to tell us how we can find the piece you have on, or any of the pieces behind you.
All right. So, how was I able to bridge the gap? One, I'm very friendly. And two, I just figured that, a lot of people, you know what? I can't really tell you how I was able to bridge the gap. I would say it's just faith in God. Like you say, I was able to go to different shows. Like, I know I have a Nigerian community here. I know they can get pieces like this. That wasn't my target audience. My target audience were the people are the people that love African culture, that want to learn. It goes deeper. They
Yeah.
want to know about
Yeah.
the prints. They are interested in the music, the everything. So I took on a lot of shows. I'm telling you, my first year, I know some people say, oh my God, chicken print, she's everywhere. It wasn't just about, for me to make a name for myself, I felt like I had to be out there. I love when you come to my booth, we talk. Well, you may not even buy anything from me. Let me know about you. Why do you like African prints? So that's how I've been able to bridge the gap. And I stay constantly. I always tell every client of mine, you're going to become family, right? So a lot of people that I've met along the way, they've become family. Some, especially in this time, I've lost some. So that's the way I bridge the gap. Really, really understanding who my clients are, who my target audience is, and I just work on it. It's something I still work on every day, trying to reach people. This is another platform, to be out there to reach people that really, really are interested in Africa. You want to learn about the culture. And I'll just give you a little thing. Chic in prints, right? Someone said, change it. It's too long. No, I want you to know that you can still be chic when you wear prints. Some people are like, oh my God, it's too bold, it's too loud, it's too that. But you can be chic when you wear your prints. So be bold. When you wear your head wrap, wear it like a queen. It's your crown. Be happy.
Yes.
You know, we
Yes.
step in the room, you want to command that presence when you wear your prints.
Mhm.
I love it because it's bold. You can find me on IG at Chic and Prints, which is chic_in_prints. I also have a website. It's www.chicandprints.com. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I love it. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for being here with us, Kimmy. We're going to be checking you out. I can't wait to be dressed, in a chic
Thank
and,
you. And thanks to
design.
Evelyn too. Evelyn O and Ankara Miami, they always give me a platform. If nobody says this, right? Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. If nobody says this, we're a lot of people that do African prints in Miami or Fort Lauderdale, but I want to thank her so much because some people have that platform and will never share, but she's always sharing, regardless of we're doing the same thing or not. So that's about helping each other, and I want to thank her for that also. So yeah.
Well, that's a perfect segue. That's a perfect segue, Kimmy. Thank you for being with us. I'm going to
Thank
bring
you.
on Miss Evelyn O in a few minutes. You guys check out Chic and Prince. Y'all, I'm real glossy tonight, okay? So let me just go ahead and wipe my face real quick. Yes, Lord. Yes, yes. Okay. I'm going to have great skin as I age, but right now I get a little oily and it's self-production. So thank you guys for being patient with me. I know we're a little over for the show. Thank you everyone who stayed with us. I'm going to bring on my final guest. I am so amazed by her story, her work. You just heard it from Kimmy. Building a platform. So Muse knows about building platforms. Myself, my co-partner, my business co-founder and business partner, Bart Merville, we've built a brand on a platform for artists to be seen, to be heard, to be sold, for their work to be sold. And building a platform is not easy. It is not an easy thing to do. It's late nights, it's sweat. I be showing y'all on social media how hard the guys work to make sure we bring you talent, how hard the team, Natasha, everybody works to bring these kind of opportunities to you. And so what Evelyn is doing in the fashion world, what she's doing in our community is amazing, from stores to creating jobs to creating platforms for designers. I would like to bring on Miss Evelyn O of Ankara, Miami. Oh, Evelyn, how are you? I think we have you muted.
Yeah, she has me muted. Am I on now?
You're on. How are you, Evelyn?
Hi, how are you? Hey, Ashley. It's all right.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here. It's such an honor. We're talking Africa, and I was like, we can't talk Africa without Evelyn. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about your journey, Evelyn. I want people to get to know you. I know you from Ankara, Miami. I met you a few years ago. I was inspired by everything that you're doing. I've seen your fashion experience just grow
Yeah.
phenomenally, into 2 events, into a boutique. You talk about hunger, you talk about thirst, and somebody working. Your name, Evelyn O, goes with that. So kudos to you for everything. Tell us about your journey, where you're from. Where's Miss
Thank
Evelyn?
you.
Yeah, where you
So
from and how you got there?
I am Nigerian. I was born in Nigeria. I came over when I was young and just glad to have had the opportunity to be able to present the platform that we have with Ankara Miami and with Ankara Delights, which hopefully I can get into a little bit. But yeah, we met during prior to one of the fashion shows for African Fashion Week, which is pretty much what I'm known for the most, the Ankara Miami Fashion Week every year, which good old COVID messed up my ninth. Back. Yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back for that 10th next year. So
Yes.
glad to have had the opportunity to kind of create some of the shifts that have gone on, particularly in South Florida. But beyond that, I mean, we've been able to fortunately have some global recognition, some national recognition with what it is that we're doing here, and just hope to continue to do all of that. So thank you really quickly to Kemi for that wonderful message, because I do like to be able to provide that platform for people. So I'm glad to hear that it's been beneficial to her.
What made you get into this platform? So I know that, like I know you're from Nigeria, and like, what made you say, hey, I'm gonna start Ankara, Miami? Like, there was a moment in your life that you go, I have an idea and I'm gonna start it. What inspired it, or what happened right before that you said, okay, I'm gonna take off in this direction?
Well, my background is healthcare. I actually have my bachelor's in management and 2 masters in healthcare related fields. So I was in that world for a long time, and kind of still got a little bit of a right foot still in there, but hopefully coming out soon. But pretty much 2011, I won a cultural pageant. It's a local cultural pageant here in South Florida called the Miss Nigeria Florida Cultural Pageant. And the purpose of it is to promote our culture, and that encompasses whatever we wanted to focus on for that evening. So there's fashion incorporated, music is incorporated, so on and so forth. So I won the 2011 pageant, and from there I wanted to create something that was mine. So, when you're in a pageant, of course you don't own the pageant, you're a representative for it. And I knew at some point my tenure was going to be up, and I needed something that would continue on after that. So I just thought about it. There wasn't anything really going on around that time other than like parties and like social type of events that were still within our community, our as in Nigerian community, and weren't really as open to everyone as I would have wanted them to be. So I just thought about what's a way for me to catch the attention of non-Nigerians, non-Africans, and create something that different types of people, different age groups, different backgrounds would have an interest in. And everybody wears clothes. So I went with fashion, decided to do the fashion. It was a show at first, to do the fashion show. And of course you need a company to have a bank account and to collect ticket money and things like that. So it just kind of came on its own. But the point was, I wanted something that was a platform for myself beyond just the pageant. So that was definitely the catalyst for the thought process of what can I do that I have an interest in that, represents me. So I've always loved planning events. I was doing it for years prior to that, just on a personal level, like high school reunion and friends events and things like that. But I wanted something that would combine my love of, where I was from, along with something that I'm passionate about and something that I'm good at, which is, the event production. So that's where Ankara, Miami was born.
I love it. So, and it's grown. It grew into like one thing I want to say there is like who you are. Like, we're all so many different dimensions. So it's a beautiful thing for you to tell us, yes, I'm in healthcare. I have 2 master's degrees, in this corporate space. And then I also created something that I'm passionate about as well. And watching all of it be successful together at the same time. I know that I've had an opportunity to go to your boutique. So I feel like it grew out of this. So what led to you actually opening a store? Like, that is so powerhouse.
Ooh, girl. You want to talk about labor of love. The events were always like, I think about, I'm not comparing myself to her. She's in her own lane. But when you think about somebody like Beyonce and how she sets that bar for herself and her only competition is herself, like everything you do has to top the last thing that you did, and you don't worry about anybody else around you. So that's sort of what it was. Fashion shows, it was like, okay, every year, what can we do to be better? What type of different designers can we incorporate? What type of different, vendors can we incorporate to make it a little bit different from the last? Because we have a lot of return guests. So what's going to be different this year from the last year? So every year you have to think about different elements. And shout out to my amazing team for the shows, MD Simmons Productions and Sandra, who have like carried the weight of this backstage production and making sure things run well, but just always making sure that we do better than the last. So that's what I felt like the shows were becoming. But then eventually we started working with Macy's. The show extended from a 1-day to a 2-day, and then eventually extended to the full Fashion Week, which is, like I said, Florida's only African Fashion Week, actually recognized by Miami-Dade County. And I needed something else. So 2015, we started doing pop-up shops and incorporating that as the final event for the fashion week, because it's one thing to, you know, get dressed up and get on this beautiful red carpet and take your pictures on the step and repeat and then go sit and watch this great show. It's another thing to actually show the vendors and the designers your appreciation by actually shopping with them. So that closing event was an opportunity to give that, kind of bridge that gap and let consumers have a direct access to the clothing that they just saw on the runway, so that, you know, you're not looking and taking pictures and saying, oh my God, that's so, and then that's the end of it. You know, you're actually able to go, and even if you don't buy something, like Kemi said, you're able to go and speak to them and hear about their inspiration for the collection that they just presented, or how you can stay connected with them for maybe a future event that you might need custom wear for, or something like that. So the point of it was just to continue to generate those dollars, because we're the spenders. And unfortunately, we have the stigma of not supporting our own, which isn't always true. So giving the opportunity for us to do that long before all of this civil unrest, you know, started popping off again, giving the opportunity for people to have that direct access was important to me. So 2018, I finally, you know, said to myself, all right, you've waited long enough. The pop-up shops are a great thing, but they're just not consistent enough. That I was doing them about 4 times a year, so quarterly. So I just said, I gotta create a space. I want to create a space that is welcoming, that is authentic. So majority of the pieces are actually African made. If they're not, they are at least Black owned. So there's somebody that you're supporting that looks like us. Whether you feel like you're supporting me or not, the things that you're buying are being made by us, and being sold by us. So I just felt like it was the time. It's been a challenge. Just, of course, we're in an e-commerce world right now, but I think shoppers like me, who I have to try things on, you know, plight of the Black woman, and I can't just shop online. So I have to go in and try clothing on. So I'm here for that person. I'm here for the person that's just looking for the quick grab. Maybe you have something coming up this weekend. You can't really wait for an online shipment, or you have that event coming up and you're looking for custom wear, which I don't sew either, but I have wonderful seamstresses locally and back home that make beautiful apparel and are able to fulfill the orders that I have to, the orders that I take for customers that come in and get measured and pick out fabrics here. I do have fabrics in stock as well. So it's just something for it to be more tangible to them and give them easier and quicker access to actually coming in and touching the fabrics and seeing the colors and just having that one-on-one contact, and being able to go home with something that they can hold on to for years because it's quality merchandise. So yeah.
I have had an opportunity to purchase my Ankara delights. So left with a big bag, you know, of things. It was pretty awesome. Thanks, Ashley. Great info. I remember calling you about hosting a birthday party in your space, and you told me about this amazing experience that I create for it. I just wanted to let our audience know how else can they engage, you know, Ankara, the boutique itself, to come into the space. Is it available? Do you do any kind of fashion party pop-ups? Can people do that in the space? What does that look like, if it exists, or is it something that you do?
Yes, definitely. We were doing our sip-in shops about every other, it wasn't really scheduled as such. It was more so like holiday related, or even for my birthday or whatever it is that might have been coming up. We would have sip-in shops in the store where it was open to the general public. I have, you know, refreshments set up, and you're able to come in, shop, have a good time. There's music playing, all of that good stuff. Of course, you know, COVID has come and integrated itself into our lifestyle. So I'm a little bit more limited now. So now it's not as open to the general. What we've done is taken that and made it virtual. So every third Sunday, we have a virtual sip-in shop. The next one is actually coming up this Sunday, the 20th. It's at 6 p.m. and you tune in live on Ankara Delights on Instagram and on Facebook. And it's just, it's about a 2-hour event, fun event, and it's a live opportunity for shoppers to see some of the pieces being displayed on actual live models, get some styling tips and flash sales, see some new arrivals, things like that. So you're able to shop right from home. You're not really committing to, you're not having to go online and search for products. You're able to, if you see something, you like it, you can ask to see it again. You can DM and place an order. It's a real easy process. Or you can go on to ankaradelights.com and do your shopping. But for the in-store, I am limiting it. So I'm still doing the private events. It's just limited to groups of 10 and under. So no more, you know, big party, big sip and shop events where people are coming in and out all day. Now it's limited to groups of 10 or less. You're able to come in, book the space for about 2 hours minimum. We do 2 to 4 hours, and you can come shop. I'll still set out refreshments for us. You can tell me ahead of time what type of group is coming in. If there's a certain, for instance, if a sorority is coming in and you're looking for red, or maybe a bridal party, whatever it might be, we have that conversation ahead of time and book your date. And just kind of go like that. It's still a lot of fun coming in. I still have the music on. It's still always a great vibe in here. And we're just kind of navigating our way through until our friend COVID decides to kind of relax a little bit and get back to everyday
We're not
living.
gonna let quarantine steal our joy, Evelyn. We're not gonna let
We're not.
steal it. Okay? So you guys check her out every third Sunday, virtual sip and paint. Get your sip and paint on, y'all. And you can bring a party, 10 or less, to the store. I believe you are in Hollywood, I believe.
Yes, downtown Hollywood at 509 South 21st Avenue.
Come out, y'all. So look, we're talking Africa. I'm gonna wrap it up. I know we went over the show. Thank you so much for being here with us. Do you have any relationship? Do you ever go? I know you say born in Nigeria, from Nigeria. Do you go back and forth to Nigeria? Do you do any work in Nigeria? Do you have like what is a project? I know this because I follow you on social, and you always share this amazing project that you work on. Can you share a little bit about what you like when you travel? Do you travel often? And when you go home, and I say go home to your second home, or your first home, because I feel like you have 2 homes. What a privilege. You know, what do you do when you get there? What kind of projects are you getting yourself into?
Lucky me to have 2 homes. I do go home. I thank my mother all the time for making sure that my brothers and I went home with her almost every year as kids, just to know where we're coming from, and also to gain an appreciation of who we are and understand, you know, 2 worlds aren't better or worse than each other. They're just different. So I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity to kind of hop in and out when we want to. I go back it was every 2 years. Now I try to do about every year. It's probably going to be more now. But it's projects that I've worked on in the past have been fulfilling, because when we do go back home, we don't really stay in the city too much. If we're looking to party and hang out and do those type of things, I can do that here. So when I go home, I love to be in the village. I love to just kind of strip down and hang out with family and unwind. But while we're there, we always find some sort of project to do, whether it's with the local elementary school, where we've provided fabric for school uniforms. We've provided school supplies, which when I announce it here and go home, or when my mom and I announce it to our networks, we always get a really great response. Thank you to anybody that's ever donated, whether it's cash, school supplies, dollars for the fabric, whatever it might be. It does go to a good cause. I always make sure to share photos of the children and show, you know, that they're actually receiving these products, because that's one thing. We don't like to donate and then not know that it actually got to where we wanted it to. So the school projects, we've also helped to rebuild the church that's in that town. So just different things that my mom started with us from when we were young, and just continued it on a more professional level as the years went on, and just being able to contribute like more and more. So looking forward to definitely having more projects. I want to commend the group that's taking the group over to Ghana. I would love to be able to do the same thing in Nigeria, and just have an opportunity for people to see that, like I said, it's not better or worse, it's just different. And a lot of times, if you can step out of your comfort zone and travel to another place, all the things that they've shown you in the media, you'll kind of understand that it's more to it than that. It's not a good representation of who we are. Like, there's so much more to Nigeria. There's so much more to Africa as a whole. And I'm glad to see that people are starting to appreciate it and gain a better understanding of who we are and how progressive we are. And we're on the forefront.
Beautiful. Well, look, I'm looking forward to that trip. So as soon as you, I'm doing the Ghana one, but as soon as I can, Evelyn, I will, as soon as you actually go ahead and do that, I would love to join you in Nigeria. I want to thank everybody for watching, for tuning in today. We were talking Africa. If you've never been to the motherland, you've never been to the continent, it is an opportunity right now. Akoma Healing Arts is taking us to Ghana. You heard it from Evelyn O herself. She's going to be starting a group so that we can go with her as well. Get in it, guys. Let's be thinking global. Shout out to our friends, Think Global, right down the street in Little Haiti. My name's Ashley Thomas. You're here with the Juneteenth Digital Talkback. You can follow us at MUCE305 on all social platforms. You heard from our vendors, Chic and Print. If you're looking to support local, support vendors, Muse has an open air market every second and fourth Sunday that you can come out to and enjoy local fare, local food, local produce. Guys, we gotta get local sourced. And I talked about thinking global, so it's like, think with a global mind. Live locally, right? So that we're saving our planet. We're gonna be here to love it. We're gonna be here to be able to travel to other, continents, to our homeland, to our patria. If you want to learn more about anything that we're talking about, just follow us again. DM us at MUCE305. My name is Ashley Thomas. Thank you for being here with us. Y'all have a great evening.